Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a really awesome shell replacement for your Super Nintendo. Now this is coming to us from Retro Game Restore, and they also make them for the Super Famicom, SEga Gensisn Mega Drive, and they also make them for the PC Engine and the Nintendo DS Lite. These are up for pre-order right now. I will leave a link in the description. The one I chose was for the North American Super Nintendo, and it's the crystal clear version, but they also offer a smoke design for all the previously mentioned consoles. This is a direct replacement for your Super Nintendo shell. There's no modification whatsoever required, and everything should line up really well. And in this video, we're going to go ahead and swap out the internals from one of my Super Nintendos to this transparent case. I'm actually super excited about this. I never really jumped on the console modification bandwagon back in the day. You know, everybody's doing it with the Xbox 360. But since I had an extra SNES laying around, I figured I'd go ahead and give this a try. I think it's going to come out really nicely. Now, one thing that they don't send you with the kit, or at least with the kit that I got, were the rubber feet that are on the SNES. You can order these online, but unfortunately I don't have any extras. I could always try to heat these up and remove them, but I'm just going to leave them right here in case I ever want to go back to this shell, or if I get another SNES with a damaged shell, I'll have an extra. The first thing we need to do is get the security screws out of the bottom of the Super Nintendo so we can pull the top off. Once we have those out, we can go ahead and remove the top half of the shell, and we will be reusing the reset, power button, and the cartridge door. This one happens to be in pretty decent shape. The reset and power button aren't discolored, nor is the cartridge door, so it should look good in this transparent setup. Now it's time to remove the internals from the bottom half of the shell. This is actually pretty simple because they don't use any security screws in here. It's all Phillips head screws. In the past, I have disassembled a couple of these Super Nintendos where the metal shrouds or the metal covers in here were a little corroded, but this looks pretty good. I don't have to do any painting or anything like that. So I've just laid everything out. We have our power switch, our ejection handle, our front controller ports, and the main board itself. Everything looks pretty decent in here, but I'm still going to clean it up. It's got a bit of dust on it. And since this is going to be in a transparent case, I want it to look as nice as possible. So what I got here is a little bit of alcohol in a spray bottle and a small paintbrush. I just want to get all that dust loosened up. Then I can wipe everything down and blow it off just to make sure I have all that alcohol dried up. But yeah, I mean, once I get this dust off, it should look pretty decent. While I'm in here, I'm also going to go ahead and clean that cartridge slot out with a little bit of alcohol just to make sure we're good to go. Okay, so now it's time for assembly, and the first thing I want to do is transfer all of the accessories over to the transparent shell, at least on the top half. We're going to be using the reset button, power button, and the cart door. I've kind of just eyeballed everything, and it definitely looks like it's going to line right up. I mean, I shouldn't really have any issues getting this transferred over, and once it's finished up, it should look something like this. And yeah, I mean, it went together really nicely. Got my power switch is working, reset button spring is in place, and the cart door. That's one of the main things. I wanted to make sure that that cart door was still working. There's two springs on the top. Just make sure you put them back in correctly. Everything should go together really nicely. Now it's time to assemble the bottom half of everything. And remember, I did clean this up with a little bit of alcohol. There's still a couple little spots on it, but I think I should be good to go. Another thing you could do if you really wanted to were pull these shrouds off and repaint them. I actually thought about going black with all of those and all of the screws, but once I pulled it apart, I noticed that the internals were in much better shape than I thought they would be, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. Now I just need to put the rest of the parts in and screw this main board down. And again, just like the top half, everything fits in here perfectly, and it went together like a glove. Final step, we're going to put the top on, make sure my power button works, it's lined right up. Make sure the reset has the spring action, and the ejection mechanism is springing back. I'm going to go ahead and test it, so we'll put a cart in before I put all the screws in the bottom. And yeah, it's looking really nice. Now I just need to secure the bottom half to the top, and we should be good to go. I gotta say, this looks way better than I thought it would. I've definitely seen pictures of it over on the Retro Game Restore website, but in real life, this looks absolutely amazing, and I'm not sure how well it's coming across on camera, but this thing definitely pops. I'm really loving this. And to tell you the truth, I might do another one of these with the smoke shell, or even try to get another transparent version and dye it kind of an atomic purple. If you're interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments below. I've done it with transparent shells in the past for handhelds, and I think it might work with this unit. But yeah, this looks so good. It definitely makes me want to play some Super Nintendo on this unit. And when it comes to my original consoles, I personally don't use any kind of flash carts or anything like that. I'm not opposed to using a reproduction in something like this, or even a flash cart, but personally I just don't do it. I kind of leave that to emulation or my Super NT with an SD card. But yeah, as you can see, my controllers are a bit beat. It would be really nice to get a hold of some clear shells for these. But let's go ahead and boot this up. This isn't running over HDMI or an adapter or anything like that. I'm just using coaxial directly to the small TV. I do have an HDMI adapter that works really well with these Super Nintendos, and that's downstairs right now with my other unit. I'm going to go ahead and swap these out. I want to have this one downstairs because it looks so good, but I figured I'd just plug this in old school style and see what happened. I just wanted to make sure that everything worked and I didn't mess anything up, even though there's really not much to mess up inside of this thing when you're disassembling it. Another thing I could have done while I had everything taken apart was replace that LED in the front with a different color. You do have to use a resistor if you're not using the correct LED, but there's tons of tutorials online and you can change it out to whatever color you want, but I just left it with the stock one because it's working and I think it looks good. I'm going to test out one more, and this cart here is giving me issues with all of my Super Nintendos, or anything I can put this inside of. I always have to readjust it, and this is going to be no different. I was really hoping, since I got in there and cleaned out that cart slot really nicely, that it would work first shot, but unfortunately it's just the cart itself, it's not the console, because it happens in everything. If I pull it up a bit, it works perfectly fine. It's just a well-used cart, and for good reason. I mean, F-Zero is one of my favorite games on Super Nintendo, especially with 2 players, but I'm sure whoever owned this cart before me used the heck out of it. But yeah, I mean, the console's still working really well, and I expected it to. Basically, all I did was a shell swap and knock the dust off the internals, so I didn't think I was going to damage anything while doing this, and it was a super easy swap. So yeah, I'd say it was definitely worth doing, and Retro Game Restore does have these for a few different consoles. We have the transparent version for the PC Engine. They also offer the smoked version. They got the smoked version for the Super Nintendo. They also offer the smoked version for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, and for the Super Famicom. I think the next one I'll be doing is for the Sega Genesis. I kind of like the way that smoked looks on it. But as for the transparent version for the Super Nintendo that we have here, it looks great, went together very easy, there was no modification whatsoever. Basically all I had to do was take the parts out of the original shell, place them in here, and I was good to go. Going into this, I was afraid that the clear shell would be a little flimsy, but it's just as thick as the original Super Nintendo shell, and it's definitely going to hold up. I mean, there's no flex in this shell whatsoever, and it's much higher quality than I thought it would be. So I mean, if you're interested in doing this with your Super Nintendo, your Super Famicom, or maybe even a Sega Genesis or a PC Engine, I will leave links to their website in the description so you can pick up a shell. But that's it for this one. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.